And hello YouTube, this is Thomas Judge back once again with another YouTube reading guide series. Today is video 7 of my 14 video series walking through the correct reading order of the character Superman by DC Comics. To create this reading guide, I've read the 1700 comic issues comprising the entire shared Superman continuity from 1991 and the launch of Man of Steel issue 1, all the way up to 2011 and Flashpoint. That includes all spin offs, tie ins, miniseries, and I've used that knowledge to build this, the internet's most detailed reading guide for the world's most famous superhero. Now, this guide is taking the form of a Google Sheet I've split into 14 tabs representing the 14 discrete eras I've split this period of Superman reading into. This guide can be viewed and downloaded for free from my website. Generally, each era or tab is going to be separated by a major DC event that I'm also releasing separate videos on. So this playlist contains every Superman video and every DC event in chronological order. However, if you're only interested in the DC events, they will also be collected in a dedicated 11 video playlist available separately on the channel. As a bit of housekeeping, please do make sure you do watch the introduction video for this series before you watch any of the other videos. It introduces and explains a lot of key terms, such as Superman triangle numbers, which is a really key thing I'll be referring to loads. And it also discusses things like Type P and Type J readers, as well as explaining why I started this reading guide actually in 1991 with Man of Steel issue 1. Anyway, with no further ado, let's jump onto the map here. What we can see here is the 7th era of Superman reading. This is going to cover all the issues from December 1998 to November 1999. That's 52 issues in total. The preceding video to this would have been the DC 1 million event. Prior to that, it would have been the 6th era of Superman reading. So this block of comics we're looking at today is going to be from DC 1 million up to the Day of Judgment event, which is what we'll be covering tomorrow. As usual, I'll be going through this line by line. As usual, please do start at the top and work your way down. Each line or each row on this Google Sheet only has one comic on it, and so it's just a matter of following the sequence of one at a time. What I will be doing is every now and again checking in on the triangle numbers for each issue as well. Okay, with no further ado, let's start off with the first story arc for this, the 7th era, called City of the Future. This is a 4-issue story arc. It's Action Comics 749, Superman 84, Superman Man of Steel 84, and then Superman 140, and Adventures of Superman 563. If we do a triangle check, we'll see that that issue is triangle number 44. As a whole, the City of the Future arc is actually set in Kandor, the bottled city of Kandor, and it does have an interesting plot twist, reintroducing a popular Superman antagonist at the end. I still don't get this city at this point. Kandor, at least for me as a relatively modern reader, was always a bottled city from Krypton, and at this point, the nature of Kandor and what it is as this alien trapped city is all just a bit weird and nonsensical, but you just kind of have to roll with it. After reading City of the Future, I would strongly recommend that you step back from the Superman issues and instead you read the mini-series Doomsday Wars. It's a 3-issue mini-series, but it definitely fits here as this is the mini-series that has the birth of Lana Lang's son in it. And that is, well, not only is that a key and important thing to know, that also very much locks this mini-series as happening here. Okay, next we have a story arc that I've decided to call Portent and Prophecy. I'll run through the issues here. So to start off with, we have Action Comics issue 750. If we check on the triangle number, that's triangle number 1 because the triangles have started renumbering. Please do note that all the Doomsday Wars issues do not have triangle numbers because they're not technically Superman issues. So in terms of triangle numbers, we've gone from 563, which is triangle 44, all the way through to Action Comics 750, which is now triangle number 1. After Action Comics 750, we have Man of Steel 85. We then have a Man of Tomorrow issue. So I'm just going to zoom out a little bit so you can see that. And there we have it on the side, Man of Tomorrow. It's actually Man of Tomorrow issue 12. We then have Superman issue 141. We have Adventures of Superman 564. Action Comics 751. Man of Steel 86. And Superman 142. The last couple of issues here, we then have Adventures of Superman 565. This features the JLA, who we're going to see a lot in the next implicit arc, and it references the events of the Shazam ongoing series throughout this issue. Do not feel obliged to read that Shazam issue or to read any JLA issues to understand this, though. So you can just read Adventures of Superman 565, it's fine. That then leads into a one-shot called Supermen of America. Now, this is a one-shot. It's triangle number 10. It's later followed by a 6-issue miniseries of the same name, but there's no need to read that here. As you can see, I put that in the note text as well for this particular cell in the sheet. Supermen of America is slightly odd. I suspect it's DC's attempt at trying to launch a new hero called Outburst. Didn't really work very well, and that miniseries is quite self-contained anyway. Okay, next we have a really interesting story arc. This is Superman Rex. Now, this is a sort of story arc that I was amazed wasn't like a massive event. The things that happen in this story arc are really huge and should have impacted loads of other series, and it could well have been an annual event for DC, but for some reason they kept it all here. I'm not going to give any spoilers. I'm just going to rattle through what the issues are. We have Action Comics 752. Let's do a triangle check. That's triangle number 11 because Superman of Men of America was triangle number 10. After issue 752, we have Man of Steel 87, Superman 143, Adventure of Superman 566, Action Comics 753. Then we have Man of Tomorrow, issue 13, which we can see all the way over on the right. We then have Man of Steel 88, Superman 144, Adventure of Superman 567, Action Comics 754, Man of Steel 89, and then the final issue of this 12-issue story arc is a one-shot called King of the World, as you can see here, and that's triangle number 22. It's a one-shot, but it has got a triangle number, and it is the key culmination of the Superman Rex story arc. Ironically, I'd read this one shot, Superman King of the World, several years earlier, and I basically thought it was just an Elseworlds one shot. I didn't realize there were 11 preceding issues in that story. It made sense by itself, but it felt rushed, which I guess in retrospect makes sense. My opinion hasn't changed. It still feels rushed. And overall, this Superman Rex arc just feels like it was massively undersold in many ways. Um, It is not an Elseworld story. It is set in the normal continuity. A couple of things to note is that the Supermen of America still appear to be working for Lex Luthor at this stage, which is odd because the miniseries for Supermen of America, if you ever do read that, does end with them going independent. So I'm slightly unsure where that miniseries fits in, but it's not really relevant for our Superman reading series. After Superman Rex, we have a block here that I like to call connective issues. I'll just rattle through these. We have Superman issue 145, Adventures of Superman 568, Action Comics 755, Man of Steel 90, Superman 146, Adventures of Superman 569, and then Man of Tomorrow, way over on the right, that's issue 14, Action Comics 756, and Man of Steel issue 91. Quick triangle check. Issue 91 is triangle 31. These 9 issues are all one-shots and largely disconnected, although they do deal with, to some extent, the new public trust of Superman after the events of Superman Rex. Okay, that takes us to the next arc, which is One Man JLA. This is a straightforward 4-issue arc, just follow the triangle numbers. We start off with Superman 147, which is triangle 32. We then just carry down row by row, so we've got Adventures of Superman 570, Action Comics 757, and Man of Steel 92. Triangle check, Man of Steel 92 is triangle 35, as you'd expect. Straightforward. Next up, we've got some connective issues. This starts off with the issue Superman 148. This has a sort of a mysterious antagonist who's pulling the strings and introduces 3 new metas that we need to know more about. We'll come back to those in issue 150 in a couple of minutes' time. Superman 148 is also quite notable in that this is the issue where Lois first finds out that Lana's got a baby and what she's named her baby, and she gets quite upset. It's quite an interesting relationship-related issue. Anyway, next connective issue here is Adventures of Superman 571, Action Comics 758, and then Man of Steel 93. Okay, the next arc, or the 8th arc of this, the 7th era, is Strange Visitor. 4-issue arc, very straightforward, is Superman 149, Adventures of Superman 572, Action Comics 759, and then Man of Steel 94. And triangle check, that's triangle 43. Okay. We then have a single connective issue. Superman 150 is kind of a big deal. It's an oversized issue which picks up actually from Superman 148 and explains that thing about those 3 metas I was mentioning earlier. It also references the Doomsday Wars miniseries and is what kind of locks that in place as being where it is within this era in the way that I've just discussed it. And then the final issue for this era, what we're talking about, is the Day of Judgment tie-in. So we've now walked straight into the Day of Judgment DC event. One Superman issue ties into that is Superman Man of Tomorrow, issue 15, which is actually the final issue of Superman Man of Tomorrow. Now this issue, which is triangle number 45, as you can see from the notes, it makes no sense away from the main event. So I wouldn't bother reading it by itself. However, if you are going to read the Day of Judgment event, it makes sense within that. And that's what we're going to be discussing in tomorrow's video. And there we have it. In case you're interested in knowing where these resources are, so the guides, the maps, and so on, they're all available on my website. They're all available for free. You can go into the website, which is nogodsorkings.com, and download the Google Sheet for the Superman reading order, or you can go on the website and look at these reading maps for all the various DC events and a whole bunch of other things I've got on there to your heart's desire. If, however, you are interested in a written version of this guide, then it is available on Amazon. I've recently just self-published it. It is the cheapest possible tier you can get on Amazon. So it's 79 pence UK, 99 cents American, and so on. It's free if you're on Kindle Unlimited, and there is a free sample on the website as well. The reason I put this onto Amazon is kind of a proof of concept. I'm interested to see if people are interested in the written guides, whether or not people want to pick them up. And also it's a good way for me to bat off all the people that are going to be in the comments asking for a Batman guide. If you want a Batman guide, I don't really particularly have any interest in doing one, but I will do one if this book gets 500 reviews. So if this book gets 500 5-star reviews, then I will start doing a Batman reading guide at some point. I don't think that's going to happen, but there we are. Of course, feel free to support the channel by picking this up. Of course, like, comment, and subscribe. But as always, the best way to support the channel is by picking up one of my other books, which isn't a non-fiction reading guide. It's actually a fictional, completely original superhero story. It's prose, so not a comic or words, but it's about superheroes in just a really interesting kind of post-apocalyptic dystopic idea. The first 4 books of the series are out, and if you want to support, please pick that up. Thanks for watching. Until next time, stay classy.